Okay, welcome to the video. Sig Guy here. In this video, I'm going to show you how to change the backstrap on your Sig Sauer P365 xMacro, whether you're going from the small, medium, or large supplied to you by the manufacturer, or if you're installing a custom one, such as the Sig Guy custom backstrap. It's a quick and easy process, so let's get started. Okay, so I am super pumped about this project as I am very happy with how these came out. These have actually been out for a couple months, and I actually forgot to make this video because we've just been so busy with some other things. But for those people that do not know, the xMacro grip comes with a removable backstrap. Okay, this little pin here is holding in our backstrap, and the factory includes 3 different size backstraps. You got a small, medium, and a large. Okay. So talking to females with smaller hands and talking to males with larger hands, the consensus was the small really wasn't small enough and the large wasn't very large enough. So I thought it was a good opportunity to come out with a new product. And we have 4 different size back straps. So the small is smaller than the SIG small, and the extra large is larger than the SIG large. And then there's 2 sizes in between, okay? So for those of you that are not familiar with the xMacro grip, okay, this is a 17 round flush fit grip basically, and like I said, it does come with the removable backstrap. So if you have a non xMacro SIG like an XL SIG 365, you can buy just the grip if you want, okay, and convert your XL 365 into an xMacro, okay, or if you got a comp slide from an aftermarket company which is longer than the traditional 365, you can convert that as well. So the grip comes in 4 different flavors, basically Coyote and Black, manual safety, and non-manual safety. This is the manual safety Coyote. There's our part number, and these are all available on sigguy.com. You can see they come with 3 different backstraps. One's installed, usually the medium's installed, and the small and the large are just in the package itself. If you buy an xMacro, it comes with the pistol in the case, the other 2 backstraps, okay? So let's get into showing you basically what the differences are in the sizes between the Sig Guy backstraps and the Sig Sauer factory backstraps. Next, let's do a little size comparison so you can kind of grasp, what the difference is between the sizes. We'll do the large first. Here's our Sig Sauer factory large one, and we'll take our calipers and we'll put it right where looks like it's the highest part of that hump, which is basically right in the middle of the backstrap itself, and we got 11.02, okay, so just over 11 millimeters for the large SIG. And then we do the same thing on the Sig Guy one. I'm gonna go right in here, and we got 12.51. So basically 1.5 millimeters. I don't want to say bigger. You got to understand how this was done. It's not like we just took 1.5 millimeters here and bumped it out, on the factory one. It's scaled. The whole profile, the outer shape of this whole backstrap, the scale of it has been increased, okay? So that way you don't feel like a knot right here in the middle of your palm where that 1.5 millimeters was increased. That whole dimension is spread out over the whole surface area, okay? So it's just a larger grip. I don't know if I explained that well enough or not, but here you can see, if you kind of look down the profile of it, you can see how the the large here on the right, the SIG one, kind of looks flat compared to the Sig Guy one. So the Sig Guy one, you can kind of see it's bumped out more right here, okay, and it actually goes from like here to here. This is all swelled out, scaled up to basically fit a larger hand much better, okay? So let's do the small one next. That one's a little bit more difficult because it almost looks like on the SIG one, it's fatter back here than it is in the center, okay? But we're going to measure them both at the center point. That way it's accurate. It doesn't come down to like what my interpretation of or where I think the highest point is. So in the middle of the SIG factory one, we're looking at 9 millimeters, okay? And then the small SIG Guy one, and the sizes are right here in the bottom, okay? Right in the center, we're looking at 8.62, okay? So almost a half a millimeter smaller. Again, it's not that this is just sucked in a half a millimeter. The whole profile of the whole backstrap has been scaled down, okay, to make it a smaller grip in your hand, okay? And then obviously the medium, which is on here, falls right in between these two. This is the our medium and our large. Our medium is a little bit smaller than the SIG medium, and our large is bigger than the SIG medium, okay? So that gives you the 4 different sizes. Not only that, but if you look at our stippling, which is a key component in grips nowadays, from your hands getting sweaty, or God forbid you get an injury and there's blood on your hands, you don't want the gun sliding all around in your hands. So that's the function of the stippling, to make sure you get a nice, good, solid contact with the grip. This stippling on our back straps is much more pronounced and better than the SIG one, but it's not going to be as pronounced where it's going to just chew you alive if you're out all day at the range shooting it, okay? So we did focus on the design of the stippling. This actually changed quite a bit. You can see there's like 4 lines, 4 lines, 4 lines, 4 lines, 4 lines, 4 lines. It used to be 5 lines, which it felt good, but it wasn't as good as the 4 lines, and the 3 lines was a bit too much. So basically kept the 4 lines there, and then you kind of adjusted the height of those lines, higher being more stippling, lower being less stippling, until we got the perfect overall texture, in my opinion. And then we carried it over to the edges here. These edges would normally be basically blank, but we put diamonds on there. All of them have diamonds, either bigger diamonds or smaller diamonds, to kind of make it look aesthetically more pleasing, and it actually adds a lot of texturing and stippling as well on the edges, okay? So that's the difference between the SIG Guy backstraps and the SIG factory backstraps. Let's get into exchanging these, swapping them out. We'll just show you how quick and easy that's done. All right, so let's show you how easy it is to swap out these backstraps. The first thing we're going to do, as always, make sure we're working on a clear and safe firearm. So we're going to lock our slide to the rear. We're going to physically and visually check, make sure there's no round in the chamber, no magazine. Check our breech face, look away, do the same thing again. Chamber, magazine, breech face. We are working on a clear and safe firearm. I'm going to add another extra layer of security, and I'm actually going to remove my slide, as we're going to be pointing this in this general direction, and we just don't want any accidents to happen, okay? So we remove the slide. If you have a Magwell, if you got the TAC Ops version, or your xMacro came with one, we're going to need to remove the Magwell first, okay? The Magwell is held on with a T10 Torx screw right here. So we'll need a T10 Torx bit, wrench, Allen wrench, whatever you want to call it. And we'll remove that Torx screw. Make sure we do not lose this Torx screw, because you cannot get the screw separately, nor can you get the nut that it screws into separately, okay? You can only get it with the Magwell currently. And here's our Magwell. If you don't have one and you want to install one, there's our part number. I sell a ton of these things. And it comes with a new Magwell, and then your screw and your nut, okay? So these are, again, available on sigguy.com in the small parts page. Our Magwell basically hooks onto the front here in a notch or a groove, and then it rotates on, and then the screw holds the back part on. So when we remove this, we're going to lift up on our back just like that. And you can see the groove right here. As we pull this off, you'll notice that this ridge right inside here, right here, that actually goes into this notch right here. So don't pull it straight off like this. Rotate the back off and then pull it off towards the front, okay? No nut yet. Our nut is inside our back strap, so don't worry about losing that yet. So the only thing holding our back strap on at this point is the rails that it slides on and this pin right here, okay? So these pins, it's just pressed in there through plastic. It usually comes out pretty easy if you got the pin alignment tool. We sell these as well in the tool section on sigguy.com. We can use that to push out our pin. If yours is a new grip, maybe the pin's never been out and it's in there a lot harder than you can push, I'd recommend a regular punch, not the pin alignment kits. They're not to be used with hammers. Okay, so we'll take our punch, basically line it up with our pinhole and our hole in our armor's block, and we'll just tap that out just like that. Okay, here's our xMacro backstrap pin. These are available separately on sigguy.com under the 365 small parts page. We'll remove our punch out of our grip. And now the only thing to do is I kind of recommend holding it like this and slide that backstrap off, because you can see where the little nut is located. I'll put my finger over that so we can kind of see the rail here. Okay. You can see the little notch that that pin goes through. And there's our back strap with our little nut in there. A lot of times the nuts fall right out. If they don't fall out, you can get a little pick in there or something. Kind of slide it out using the bottom hole there. Basically put the pick in underneath the nut and rotate it up, and that nut will come right out of your grip. Reassembly is just as quick and easy. So we'll take our nut, we'll stick it in the little hole there in the back of the back strap, and then we're going to slide our back strap onto the rails just like that. Okay. Then we'll take our back strap pin, put it through our hole, press that in. If you can't push it in by your hand, just use a little punch. Shouldn't have to really hammer that in or anything. If you do, it's no big deal. Just tap it until it's kind of recessed a little bit on both sides. Okay. And then, as you can see, we got the ridge in the back of it there, so it all looks really nice. If you're not using a Magwell, looks just like the factory. And then if you are using the factory Magwell, that'll fit as well. So we'll take this ridge, like we showed you earlier. We're going to put it right in the ridge on our grip. I'm going to slide that and click that right into place. And then your screw, when you put this in there, you can see how it's at an angle. It's going in like this. The screw doesn't go perpendicular to this face. It doesn't go straight in like that, because this whole back is angled. Okay, so pay attention to that so we don't cross thread anything. Make sure that when you're putting that screw in there, it's going in at a slight angle. Okay, and then we don't got to crank this thing to 1,000,000 foot-pounds. Just snug it up. You can put some Loctite on that screw if that back strap's going to be on there for the foreseeable future and you don't have any interest in taking that off. A little bit of 242, blue 242 Loctite on that screw. Put it in there, let it set overnight. That Loctite will firm up, and then it'll prevent that screw from backing its way out. Okay, so let's reassemble here. Obviously, we would test fire this and do a functions check and all that to make sure everything still works perfectly, which it should. We really didn't mess with anything else. As far as compatibility, the ones that we did test that we had right here in stock are the Tactical Development xMacro Magwells. We have these on sigguy.com under the Tactical Development tab. These fit just fine, as it's pretty close to the factory design. The NDZ ones, we have these in stock as well. This is the V2, the V1 they've kind of discontinued. Just a different the shape of the outside, the aesthetics changed up. The inside dimensions didn't change at all. The thing with the NDZ one is, though, their hardware is different than the factory hardware. As you can see, they got a regular nut in there without the glare. Where the factory one's that square nut, and then their screws a lot bigger than the factory one. This stuff didn't really fit in the back strap, so I used the factory screw and the factory nut with that NDZ Magwell, and that all lined up and fit fine. So if you don't have the SIG factory hardware, you're not going to be able to use this back strap with an NDZ Magwell. The Empire Magwell, theirs fit just fine as well. Okay, so that was 4 different ones: the SIG, the Tactical Development, the NDZ, and the Empire. I had all here, and I tried them on there, and they all work fine. So if you have a Magwell that's not one of those 4 and it does fit perfectly fine, just send me a picture through the Contact Us page or email info@sigguy.com. and just let me know that that particular Magwell fits. I'll add it to the website so others know that they can use their existing Magwell with the backstrap. And there you have it. It is that easy to swap out your xMacro backstrap. And I know my opinion is very extremely biased here, but I think that looks awesome. And beside the looks, it feels even better. Okay, this thing, I have the metal grips, from the various different manufacturers, and those are my carry stuff. But I have since gone back to the polymer one because it's lighter, and now it just fits so good. Okay. Again, my opinion's biased. I'm sure everybody has their own opinion, and maybe there's some people that's just not for them, which is perfectly fine as well. So those are the Sig Guy backstraps. They are sold separately. Okay, it's not all four come in one kit. I try to keep all the prices as low as I can keep them, so the people that really aren't frivolous with their money, like some of us are, and they have a hard time justifying buying an upgrade. I try to make it, a price point for them that they can justify making a purchase like this. Okay, so those are the Sig Guy backstraps. And because of upgrading the printers and being able to do all this carbon fiber stuff now, I've been able to basically produce all this stuff that I've wanted to produce for years. Okay, so a lot of the feedback I get from customers is customers that, they're having a hard time disassembling and reassembling whatever it is they're working on. So I basically sit there and talk to them and kind of try to come up with, what can make it possible for this person to achieve their objective. So, like one guy actually with the new striker removal tool, this guy approached me and said, hey, I made a tool. This is what I made with a Phillips screwdriver, and it made it so easy to get that new style striker out of the P365. So I've always wanted to do a tool like that, and I started out, kind of on the same path as he had, but not everybody has a Phillips screwdriver, and not everybody has a grinder to modify a Phillips screwdriver. And then 3D printing that type of a tool, because it was so thin and you have to pull so hard, it just wasn't strong enough. So I kind of revamped the whole logic behind it and the design, and now you got basically two wedges here and a pusher that make it a breeze. Anybody can remove their striker now without boogering up that housing on their 365. So that was one of the more recent ones that I came out with. The manual safety service kit, the M18s and the P320s with the manual safety, M17s. Extremely, it's difficult to get that manual safety in and out of there so you can actually do other stuff in the FCU. So with the help of this kit, it makes it a breeze of getting those pins to move out of the way. And then with people wanting to basically replace the springs on their strikers rather than replace the whole striker, or I have the plus 20% 365 striker springs for the people that have light strikes on their primers. Well, holding that spring collapsed and getting them retainers off isn't for everybody, as they don't have the hand strength. You actually need like two people, three hands to make that an easy process. But with the striker spring tool here, this collapses that spring, holds it collapsed. You can undo the retainers, put them back on, release the tool, change out the spring, whatever you want to do. Again, it's just a simple tool to make that whole thing much easier. We did the multifunction tool, which is basically a simulated FCU with a jig on it to cut out the notches. Okay, if you want to add a manual safety to your grip, this is the tool to do that. If you don't want to buy a new grip, basically it comes with the drill bit, the pin, an X-Acto blade knife, emery board, everything you need to make a notch in your 365 grip. And then you can use it to store your grips and your slides if you only have one FCU but multiple slides and multiple grips on a pistol stand, which we also sell inside your safe so that stuff doesn't get all scratched up. And then my latest one that I'm working on right now is our takedown lever assist. Okay, not everybody can rotate their takedown levers. Okay, whether it's your guide rod it's an aftermarket one, maybe it doesn't fit as good as the factory one. The guide rod pushes right up against your takedown lever, so now your takedown lever really doesn't rotate as easy as it used to. And these are so small, the factory ones, there's really not much there to push on. Same thing with the factory 321. It's a very, thin lever to try to rotate. Well, I'm making all these adapters and everything that have this little wrench. These are all interchangeable with all the adapters. This one here is the Armory Craft P320 Type 2 one. So they're Type 2 takedown lever for the P320. Basically, what you do is I know this isn't a 320. You'd lock your slide to the rear. You'd put the tool. It's molded perfectly the same shape as our takedown lever. The arrow goes up. Okay, that's kind of the orientation I put the wrench on. Basically, like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. You'd put it over your takedown lever like that, and then you just use the tool to rotate your takedown lever. I know this isn't the proper one. I got the 365 one right here. That's the AC 365, and then we got the factory 365. Okay, so that fits on there perfect. Anyway, so with this whole experience here, I did post it on my Facebook and got some feedback. And you always have them internet tough guys that, why do you need that? I don't have any problem, rotating mine. But then there's a female that chimed in on the conversation and said she was a disabled female. She basically dreaded when she had to come back from the range to disassemble her pistol, even just a simple field strip. Because of her disability, she really didn't have the hand strength to rotate her takedown lever to easily disassemble a 365. So maybe they weren't getting cleaned as much as they should be, whatever the case may be. So I'd actually contacted her, and we're going to get her out a set here as soon as I'm done finalizing all of the different adapters for the pistols that she has. But that's my target audience right there. That's the people that I want to encourage to basically do what I've been doing for years. Not everybody can do it. I totally get it, and that's why I try to make all this stuff so everybody else can do this stuff themselves, okay? Because that's what it's all about. So these will be on the website as well very shortly, probably within the next couple days. I might even put them on there now and then just not add the ones I haven't done yet, because the 365 and the 320 is done if they want to start buying those. These will be, it's not going to be one whole kit because there's way too many adapters. Like I said, I've already done 10, and I haven't even done the classics yet. 226, 229s. Armory Craft makes levers for those, as well as Go Gun. So it's not going to be one kit, not a universal adapter. They're all specific to your pistol. So you basically buy the one kit, and then if you want to add to it, I think that's what I'm going to do is you can add extra adapters to that kit rather than buying like 5 complete kits. Again, to keep the cost down. Okay. So that's where we're at here at Sig Guy. Always doing all this stuff in between packaging all the orders and handling all the questions and comments and groans and complaints and all the stuff that goes along with the business. Anyway, so I do appreciate each and every person out there. If you like this type of content and you find it helpful, please use the subscribe button right down here in the corner. As always, thank you very much for watching, and have a good day.